Okay, so you've got a client shoot tomorrow, but you don't have a plan. What should you do? Alright guys, now hope you're all good. So I'm sure we've all been in this situation before, I hope. But showing up to a client shoot without any prep, no storyboard, no shot list, nothing. Maybe the client wasn't clear and they just didn't give you enough time to prep. Or perhaps you're just a beginner and you don't have much experience on client shoots. Whatever the reason, you still need to walk away with some usable, professional looking footage. And in today's video, I'm going to talk you through a recent shoot where I found myself in that exact same position. Basically, I was asked the day before to drive 2 hours to shoot a promo video for this young professional basketball player. Well, college basketball player. And that was pretty much it. No brief, no client meeting, no location recce, and no inspo to work with. Just a time, a place, and a basic understanding of what I was meant to shoot. And if I'm honest, I was actually quite pleased with what I managed to create. So I hope that me talking you through my thought process on how I managed to plan without planning for this shoot can hopefully help some of you guys who might find yourself in a similar situation in the future. So let's go, shall we? So firstly, although this is deemed highly unprofessional and not recommended in the slightest, these situations can happen. And the first thing is to remain calm and think about what you know. So in this example, here's what I knew. I knew that I was shooting basketball in a basketball court at a leisure centre that was going to be indoors. It was 2 hours away and we had it booked for 1 hour. I knew that it was a young 20-year-old guy playing college basketball over in the US and that he wanted a 1-minute promo video to show, I don't know, other colleges or scouts or the NBA. I have no idea who these people are, but that was pretty much it. So what does this tell me? It tells me it wants to be fast-paced, it wants to be energetic, and it wants to be dynamic in motion. I therefore knew that I didn't need to bother with a gimbal because it needed to feel real and raw and like you were in the action. So the natural camera shake from the Ibis is perfect in this situation. And because we'd been running up and down the court like crazy people, I knew that I'd be dealing with whatever ambient light the venue provided. So there was no need for any additional lighting. And because of this, I knew I'd need a lens that was pretty fast, but also have varying focal lengths. So a 24-70 f2.8 would be ideal for any kind of wide, mid and tight shot that I might need. And then for sound, a simple on-camera microphone to pick up any sounds of the sport, and that was pretty much it. So it's important to take what you know and break it down into practical filmmaking components so that you can funnel it down into a plan of action. Now this is crucial. Show up early, because remember, you haven't recce'd the location, you have no idea what to expect, other than maybe a quick Google search. So getting there early buys you the time to scope out the location, analyse the lighting, and also think of any interesting angles that you might want to capture before the client arrives. It's also about eliminating all the unknown so that you have less to worry about. Now that I've had time to scope out the area, I can begin to dial in some camera settings. And the camera that I used was a Sony a7S III along with the Sigma 24-70 f2.8 art lens. And because we're shooting indoors, I knew that I could lock in my white balance without the worry of any kind of temperature shift. I shot in 4K 50 because I wanted the best image quality possible, but also the option to slow it down in post if I need to. I shot the whole thing wide open at f2.8 because I wanted some nice subject separation, especially for those tighter shots, but also this helped maintain my exposure throughout because we were shooting indoors. Now for the shutter speed, I actually opted for the 90-degree shutter rule and set this to 1/200 instead of 1/100 for 50 frames per second because I wanted a bit less motion blur so that it would feel more fast and action paced and a bit more dynamic. And obviously I'm going to shoot in log because I want the best dynamic range available to me, and all the settings I chose worked out conveniently for S-Log3 because I was able to keep the base ISO of 640 whilst having an overexposure of 1 1/3 stops, which is ideal for log footage. And finally, the autofocus was set to wide and continuous subject detect because I didn't have anybody else to deal with. It was just that one subject that I was shooting, so I didn't have to worry about it drifting to anybody else. And a pro tip, always have an AF/MF toggle set to a custom button because you never know when you're going to need to override that autofocus. So that was it. Other than maybe a few little exposure tweaks, I didn't need to change the settings throughout the entire shoot. So it's important to think about the environment, the subject, and the theme of what you're shooting so that you can dial in your camera settings accordingly. Right, so now they've arrived and I've asked as many questions as I can think of just to make sure we're on the same page, but most importantly, I've acted confident and I've pitched my ideas to the client. Rather than showing up and being like, right, so what we're shooting, because that doesn't fill the client with confidence. And also, even if it's not what they had in mind, it still shows that you had a plan to begin with, even if you didn't. And to be honest, from my experience, if a client doesn't give you a brief up front, it usually indicates that they have no idea what they want to begin with, and they actually want you to come up with a plan for them. So once you've had a quick chat and you've finalised your plan, it's time to start recording. So, what to shoot? So this will obviously be different for every project that you do, but there are a few fundamental things that you can follow that can guarantee that you'll come away with enough footage to at least tell your story. So with this in mind, you're going to need a beginning, a middle and an end. So you're going to want to talk to your client or the talent and ask them to talk you through their entire process from start to finish. So if it's a Michelin star chef, they might start with chopping the veg, they might marinate the meat, boil the rice, fry off the meat, serve it on a plate, add some garnish, make it look pretty, and serve. I have no idea because I can't cook. However, by knowing the steps in the process, it allows me to create a mental shot list, so I at least stand a better chance of capturing the shots that I need. So in this case, it was a promo video of one guy showing off his skills as a basketball player, which involves a series of warm-up routines, drills, and then some examples of play such as free throws, dribbling techniques, and obviously a few impressive dunks. So with this mental shot list flying through my mind, I was beginning to visualise a story. So I wanted the beginning to be introducing the player and introducing the sport to the audience. So I took a few static shots of the client to show strength, confidence and motivation in the player, along with some simple yet impressive basketball skills to highlight the sport and showcase his ability. Then for the middle, I wanted to create some sort of build-up that would lead to a crescendo, because I love a crescendo, even if I can't say it. So the middle wanted to build up into some fast action-packed basketball skills. So some quick, fast dribbling along with some impressive buckets. That's what y'all call them, isn't it? Along with, obviously, some very impressive slam dunks. And then for the end, once we hit that crescendo, it's about impact, pace and adrenaline to lead into a final result. All of which, I have no idea how it's all going to come together. I just know that I need to capture all of these things. And by shooting all this in order is a good natural way to reduce the possibility of missing a key important component, because we have nothing to check off from. So now that we've got a mental shot list and a vision in our heads, how do we shoot this? And if there's one thing, and one thing only, that you take away from this video, it's always shoot a wide, a medium and a tight of every single shot. So for example, here we have a wide shot of him dribbling the ball, eyeing up a shot and making a basket. So we shot the same thing again 2 or 3 times, but this time a bit closer in and then even closer still. Now this isn't an exact science, so you don't need to shoot at 24, 50mm and 70mm for each shot every time. You just need to make sure that they differ enough so that the audience is fooled into thinking that you shot this on multiple cameras. It basically just prevents the audience from getting bored, keeps them engaged, and makes your footage look a little bit more dynamic. It also adds depth to your storytelling by showing context, the act or the motion, and the emotion, in this case, the concentration and passion shown on the client's face. You can of course add to this by introducing cutaway shots, which can be close-ups of the hands, feet, the environment, all the tools that they use, so in this case it's the basketball. But as a rule of thumb, always make sure that you get a wide, a medium, a tight of everything, and then you're guaranteed to come away with enough footage to make a professional edit. Now don't be afraid to do multiple takes. And don't worry if by asking them to go again or redo something is going to make you look like an amateur or you don't know what you're doing, because it's far more important that you come away with a professional looking edit for them a couple of weeks later than it is for them to like you on the day. Because if anything goes wrong and you missed a shot, you're out of focus or you messed up with your settings and you get back to your computer, there's nothing else you can do. You can't reshoot it, so you're stuck with trying to fix it in the edit, which is a very stressful process. So don't be afraid to ask them to redo something 3 or 4 times. I mean, I had the guy running up and down the court like a madman. He was shattered, poor fella. I mean, so was I. Like twice his age, trying to run up and down the court with a professional athlete. Nightmare. However, I came home confident that I had enough footage to work with. And next, capture multiple angles, which can be mixed in with the other two, to be honest. But by mixing multiple angles, it just further enhances your storytelling and your production value to keep the viewer engaged on what's going on. It makes it more three-dimensional. So move about, get high, get low, try introduce some foreground elements, just get creative. I mean, I was running up and down this court like a madman trying to keep up with a professional athlete. I mean, I was exhausted. But by getting stuck in and involved in the shoot means that your client is going to be much more confident in your ability, meaning they'll probably loosen up and perform a lot better. And you're going to come away with an edit that's going to look far more dynamic, far more impressive, and much more enjoyable to watch. So now that you've got all your main storytelling shots, it's time to pay attention to the details and get some creative shots. Now these can be done at the end. However, if they are time sensitive to the activity, they might want to be done alongside the other shots. So just make sure that you're paying attention to the process. Think about where does it lead, where do we end up, and what are the actions in the steps, and then just think of some creative ideas to go along with it. So in this case, like he's shooting some baskets, right? So the goal is, well, it's the goal, it's the net. So by getting creative and going underneath the net and watching one of the balls fly through it is a creative shot that, in my opinion, just adds a little bit more spice to this particular edit. Also, try combining shots to combine the action. So for example, I shot him facing towards me, acting like I'm a defensive opponent for him to skillfully run past. Then the next shot is me shooting him from behind to continue and make a layup as if it's all part of the same action sequence. It can be whatever you like. These are like the garnish to your video. So yeah, they're not integral to the recipe, but they will make it taste better. I promise I'll stop with the food analogies. Getting hungry. I haven't had my lunch yet. These videos always go past lunch. Anyway, it's just time for you to add your personality and style to the project. Now, always shoot more than you think you're going to need. If you think you have enough, just ask yourself, right, what else could I potentially shoot? And shoot that as well. Having more is better than not having enough. Even if you don't use all of it, you might end up with some footage that can save you in the edit later. Trust me. For example, it was getting towards the end, we were both very tired, him more so than me, and we were about to call it a day. And I had this idea and I thought it'd be really cool if he could attempt a halfway line shot. And by some freak of nature, or probably actual talent from my client, he made it in the first attempt. It was a quality shot. It was quite impressive, and this became the end to the video, like a signature sign-off. So it's always worth getting more footage than you need, and if you have like a crazy idea that's sort of off brief, it's the perfect time to bring it up and attempt it, because you never know, it might just make the video. And finally, have fun, because the more that you're enjoying the experience, the more that this will show in the final result. And if you're enjoying yourself, then it's highly likely that your client is as well. So they're going to be much more relaxed and able to perform at their best. And when it comes to the edit, this is where you bring your story to life. And a great way to add that little bit of extra spice is to add some excellent motion graphic templates into your footage, like the ones from MotionVFX. MotionVFX have a huge catalogue of motion graphic templates for Final Cut Pro, Premiere Pro and DaVinci Resolve for all scenarios, so you're bound to find something that fits your needs. They have a large team of extremely talented designers who spend all their time working on perfecting each and every pack. And the best part is, there's no need for a subscription, so once you've bought it, that's it. You have them for life. Whereas with other subscription services, you're locked into an ongoing cost. Once you stop, you can no longer use their stuff, so it makes it pretty pointless. And it's usually quantity over quality, whereas this is quality. I've been using their products for years, and even though I know how to make motion graphic templates myself, I still choose to buy from them because, well, they're just that good. They're often better than what I can come up with. But most importantly, it frees up more time so that I can actually spend that time making videos. So thanks to MotionVFX for supporting this channel. I'll leave a link in the description box below if you want to go check them out for yourself. It is an affiliate link, so all this does is tell them that you came from me, but it does support the channel, so that is much appreciated. So at the end of the day, shooting without a plan is all about confidence, adaptability, and storytelling instincts. So you might not have a script or a storyboard, but if you remain calm, think like an editor, and make sure that you get all of your essential footage, then you're going to be able to produce a very polished professional video that your client will love. And if you've got any other tips or steps that you feel that I've missed, or you just want to add something from your own experience, then please do leave a comment below. Not only benefits me because I want to learn, but it also benefits the rest of the community as well. And obviously this isn't the correct approach for a much larger scale project. It's mainly for your independent filmmakers like myself who'll go on these projects on their own, and you know, you don't always get the luxury of time on your hands and the ability to pre-plan. You sometimes just get lumbered with a project. However, if you do get the luxury of time, always plan your shoots. Never go into one blind. So make sure you have client meetings, you do a location recce, and you create a detailed shot list. The more you prepare, the easier the shoot will be. So that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider giving it a thumbs up. It really helps out the channel. Consider subscribing if you want to see more videos like this. Hit the bell, all those nice things that will put a smile on my face. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.
I know, you heard a little something about me, right? People love to talk, everybody wanna tell me, right? I know, bunch of fakes all around me.